And try as we might, the FCC has not yet pulled our license, so we're here again. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, 22nd day of August 2018. Dan Kuntz, your host. Steve Hare, news director, back in the saddle again.
Oh, yeah.
Cat is in control. Good Wednesday. Thanks for starting your day with us. And now we can tell people where the heck you were yesterday, Steve. You were on a top secret assignment.
Well, actually it was.
Yeah, tell folks about it.
God, I'll tell you, it was a fascinating day I had yesterday, along with my cameraman and producer, Uriah Darby. We were out at Moses Lake yesterday covering an interesting event, a historic event, as a matter of fact. You may recall back in June, I posted a picture on my Facebook page of a project that was being done up at the Pangbourne Airport by Century Aviation. At the time, they were restoring a vintage 1914 flying boat. It was made by the Curtiss Company back in 1914, and they were building this thing for apparently a wealthy investor out of Florida, and the Collings Foundation, which is a foundation that restores ancient aircraft. And they were building this there in the hangar, and Karen Barrow and Mark Smith, who own Century Aviation up there at the airport, told me that they were planning to do a test flight out of Moses Lake. Well, guess what? Yesterday, it was airborne.
Look at that.
It made like 3 passes over the lake yesterday, about 50 foot high, about a quarter mile each run. But it got airborne after a few early morning mechanical difficulties that they had, but they finally got it airborne, much to the delight of the few people who were lakeside observing the whole thing. But I'll tell you what, we've got a story coming up a little bit later, tell you more about that successful maiden flight of a 1914 Curtiss flying boat.
And it takes some chutzpah to be the guy behind the yoke, because they don't
yeah.
really know until it's up and airborne that the darn thing will fly.
That was actually taking on some water there for a while.
Oh,
so yeah.
A flying boat, so it has to take off and land on water. There's no landing gear.
There's no landing gear.
Wow, 1914.
Because Curtiss, they also built a Curtiss pusher plane for the same guy in Florida, and it's amazing what they do. You know, they build everything from Jenny's, the old Sopwith Camel type planes, biplanes, all the way up to Japanese Mitsubishi Zeros. So yeah, it's a fascinating company.
And the best thing is, it flew.
Yeah, well, Karen and Mark are two of my favorite people.
Good.
And I'll tell you what, congratulations to both of you.
Well, we missed you around here, but we were able to cobble together a newscast for the staff that was still hanging around. We'll do another one tonight, of course. Steve will have your Wednesday morning news here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to take you around the valley real shortly.
Yeah.
We do have some breaking news I want to get to. They just issued a fire weather watch for most north central Washington. It's in effect from tomorrow afternoon through tomorrow evening. We talked about this cold front that's going to come in, and it's going to scour out the skies, and it's going to clean out our air. It's coming in a little bit ahead of schedule. It's going to cool us down and make things quite windy. We got a very important weather forecast coming your way, and we'll check in with air quality again today, which is getting better. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. There is light at the end of the tunnel, if you pardon the metaphor. You ready to go around the valley?
Really, I think our shirts match the weather this morning, don't they?
Really. Let's see what we got. Good morning, Wenatchee Valley. That is the cross cam. Is that the cross? That is the cross cam. Just a slightly different angle, a little bit more of East Wenatchee. It looks about the same as it did yesterday. And when we get to the air quality, it is almost exactly about the same as it was yesterday.
Unhealthy?
Yeah, it's unhealthy. But you got to hand it to the Department of Ecology. They hit it right on the head. They said Tuesday it wasn't going to get better, but it wasn't going to get worse. And we're going to have the graph to show you that. It stayed pretty much the same all day yesterday.
Well, I noticed that in Moses Lake it was not quite as bad as it is in Wenatchee. So it kind of settles into our little valley here.
Let's see what we got from our friends at Local Tel Sky-Fi High Speed Wireless. The cameras, that's the Omi Garden camera, Odebashian Bridge in the lower right-hand corner. That looks worse, doesn't it? It's funny. It's about the same height as far as elevation. The camera that you just saw, the cross camera, and that camera from Omi Garden, they're about at the same elevation. It just kind of looks worse.
Well, I think it is because you're kind of looking more eastward.
You might, yeah.
And you're getting that morning sunrise, so you have what they call opacity.
No thanks, I just ate. Camera 3, we're looking at, that's Stamen Flats, I want to say, Kat? Stamen Flats, so US 97A. That little piece of gray, that ribbon of gray you see at the bottom of your screen is on your way up to Chelan, which is, well, I'll be heading up a little bit later on today.
Right.
I'll be taking Megan McPherson up. We're going to be heading up to Chelan to find out how this has been affecting the local economy. Megan, I mispronounced her name again. 3M and I are going up to Chelan to talk to some of the businesses up there to see how the smoke has been affecting the tourism town.
Encounter a light volume of traffic if you're headed
pretty light. Camera 3. We say good morning to Lake Wenatchee.
Wow, that looks eerie, doesn't it?
That does look eerie.
Almost surreal.
It is cooler up at Lake Wenatchee. There is higher relative humidity, and so it's going to be a little more socked in up there. And of course, it's considerably closer to the Cougar Creek fire than us here in the Wenatchee Valley. So they don't have an air monitor up in Lake Wenatchee area. I venture to guess it's probably worse up there than it is down here.
Looks like a scene out of the movie Twilight, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? Camera. Oh, is that it? Did we go through all 4 cameras? Wow, this morning is just flying by. All right, from the national, no, let's, before we get to the weather forecast, let's go ahead and take a look at your air quality. This is your state map. We've been doing this for the last 2 weeks or so.
Ooh, Seattle.
Wenatchee right in the middle. Seattle, yeah, the whole Puget Sound area is not good. We are at unhealthy in the Wenatchee Valley. And you see that gray dot where the Chelan monitoring station is. That's on the fritz. It ain't working right now.
Okay.
So we don't have a reading there, but we do have Wenatchee's reading. This is the latest, and we're at 165 on the scale, which is almost exactly where we were yesterday at this time. That is unhealthy, but it sure beats that dark purple. I can tell you that much. In fact, this gives you a good idea of the consistency of the air quality from yesterday. You see the graph there. That big peak way back to your left, that is that Sunday afternoon, just when it was just awful.
The blob.
The blob. And then it just slowly got better and better and better. And as you can see, most of the day yesterday, it kind of hovered right around that 165, 170 mark pretty much all day yesterday. So it was livable anyway.
Almost looks like a picture of the subduction zone, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? As I mentioned at the top of the show, the National Weather Service, not 15 minutes ago, issued a fire weather watch. It goes Thursday afternoon through Thursday evening. Wind, low relative humidity. The temperatures, though, are going to be actually cooler, but the wind is really going to get going. Normally, it's the 3 combination of wind, low humidity, and heat. Well, you can take heat out of that equation, but the wind is going to be strong. Let's take a look at your forecast from the National Weather Service, and it looks something like this. Still smoky and hazy today. 92, don't know if we're going to get there. We hit 87 yesterday, which was a couple of degrees below what they thought. I don't think we're going to get to 92, but we're also going to have a little bit more sun today than we've had. Tonight, things start getting a little bit interesting. Still hazy, still smoky. Outside of that, we're going to have some clear patches tonight, and the northwest wind 10 to 13 miles an hour. Thursday, west wind 8 to 15 miles an hour, and then things get crazy. This is why we have this fire weather watch Thursday afternoon through Thursday evening. Breezy on Thursday afternoon. It goes downright windy Thursday night, Steve. Northwest wind 11 to 18 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 30 miles an hour Thursday night, and that spills into Friday. And you see these afternoon temperatures Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, all below normal. In fact, well below normal. It's a cold front.
I would imagine those folks up in the Cougar Creek fire area, at least in terms of the threat to Plain and the Chumstick Valley, that strong westerly wind will be blowing that western front back eastward.
The perfect scenario is if this fire blows in on itself. That would just be lovely.
Yeah.
If that could actually pull out. So it's going to be cooler but much cleaner air by Friday and Saturday. We're going to have to deal with this for about another 36 hours, but things are looking good if you like to breathe air, and I'm one of those people who likes to breathe air. Haven't mentioned this yet. My guests in the second half of the program. It's our brand new program. It made its debut on Monday. It's called Live It Up. It's hosted by Dr. Amy Ellingson and her husband Fletcher Ellingson, and they came by yesterday before they filmed an episode, and they sat down with me, and you're going to love that conversation. Fascinating stuff. When we get to that, that'll be in the second half of the show. You don't have to wait that long for the news with Steve Hare. It's 1 short minute away, and it's brought to you this morning, as it is every morning, by our friends at Cascade Medical. Trained with a physical therapist who loves the outdoors as much as you do. Cascade Medical, partners in your health.
The physical therapists at Cascade Medical love the outdoors as much as you do. But sometimes where there's love, there's also pain. Let us help you get back to the activities that you love. Cascade Medical, partners in your health.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
Here we go on this 22nd day of August. Welcome back to the program. Here's what's happening around north central Washington. First, let's head out to the fire lines. Most predominantly, of course, the Cougar Creek fire burning in Chelan County. Those level 2 evacuation notifications remain in place for now on the Chihuahua Loop Road, extending from Plain all the way out to the intersection with Chihuahua River Road on both sides of the roadway. So those folks are on a level 2. That would include Chihuahua River Pine Community and Sugar Flats Community, I should say, and all roads that intersect with the Chihuahua Loop Road in that affected area. By the way, we have close to 1,000 firefighters on the lines right now working that blaze. The fire now 40% contained. They did have some improved visibility yesterday, so that allowed them to get some aircraft up in the air to help settle those flames down as well. Also, residents in the Plain area have had their eyes on the Cougar Creek fire as those winds earlier in the week continued to push that blaze through the region. Chelan County Commissioner Keith Gaynor attended a community meeting earlier this week in Plain. He says residents are nervous, definitely, but he says and assures them that agencies are working to give them as much notice as possible.
As far as how do people feel, there was a wide range of emotion. There were some people that flat out said they're really afraid. You know, they just want to know. And the unfortunate thing is that with a wildfire, it's not predictable, and that's really what they were saying. It was pretty much contingent upon where the winds come from. So right now, if people are familiar with the area, it's up around the Maverick Saddle area, so it is, you know, cresting in some spots. It has come over the Aniat Ridge, and so that is cause for concern. But what we did, when I say we, the county, the emergency management went out and did put everybody on a level 2, and they said, we're trying to give you, plenty of advance warning. Just now's the time to get your big vehicles, your livestock, and things that you might have difficulty moving. It might be wise to relocate them now because we really don't know where that fire will go, and it is, once again, dependent upon the winds. And the winds are supposed to pick up a little bit here the next day or so, and so that's why they're concerned, and they're just being very cautious moving forward.
They've increased the containment, though, on that fire. It's now 40% contained with over 38,000 acres burned. On to the election. Chelan County Deputy Jennifer Tyler, a late entry into the race for Chelan County Sheriff. Well, guess what? She's qualified for the November 6th general election. In fact, our Chelan County Auditor Skip Moore made that official yesterday during the meeting of the canvassing board.
Jennifer Tyler was a write-in candidate, and she submitted her filing form. She received 620 votes. Of those write-ins, 620 were hers, which equates to a 4.64%, which meets the threshold of moving on to the general election. The requirement there was 1%. And she's met that threshold. Now her name will appear on the ballot for the November election.
A jury in March awarded Tyler damages from the department in a civil suit alleging she was retaliated against after she testified in a 2008 case that helped send an Oklahoma sheriff to prison on rape charges. Incumbent Sheriff Brian Burnett received over 95% of the vote, and so certainly he's the front runner heading into November. Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center has narrowed its search for a new executive director to 2 candidates. Matt Cadman, currently the American Performing Arts Center manager, and Kenny Sturgeon of the Pacific Science Center. This Thursday, the museum inviting the community for a candidate meet and greet starting at 5:30 as the board of directors continues its final steps of the selection process. The 2 candidates will tour the Wells House in the museum, followed by a meet and greet with staff and interview with a panel of board and community leaders. For more information, you can visit the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center's Facebook events page. Well, if you were impacted recently by flight delays into SeaTac Airport, the problems were reportedly not just wildfire smoke and visibility related. The Port of Seattle has produced a video that explains what's happening during those periods.
Hi, I'm Perry Cooper. Welcome to Checking In at SeaTac Airport. Trying to give you an idea of what it's like to run an airport with the basic of the aircraft coming in and out and what potential delays may occur. I'm here with Mark Coates, who's one of our senior directors for operations for the airport and also a former air traffic controller. Mark, we see aircraft all the time. It looks easy enough for the average passenger, but this is a pretty complex system, isn't it?
It is. There's over 500 air traffic control towers in our country, and every day 43,000 airplanes are talked to by air traffic controllers. It's 6,000 at any given minute. It's a tapestry, a highway in the sky, but there's no brakes in the sky. You have to keep, the airplanes can't stop when there's a backup.
So it's not like us doing a stop and go traffic out in the freeway. You can't suddenly, these guys are going what? 180 more miles an hour, right?
Anywhere from 150 up to 400 or 500 miles an hour up in the sky. But they have ways to slow aircraft down if there's an issue, like a snowstorm in Seattle. They can do big S-turns at 35,000 feet across the sky. They can go and use different traffic management tools.
And some of those are things that I think a lot of people end up hearing about, like ground stops.
Yeah.
What are they talking about when they talk about a ground stop?
Well, a ground stop is basically when you have aircraft that you know can't come to the airport for maybe 30 minutes or 15 minutes. You hold them in Portland or you hold them in San Fran, and you get the airplanes in the sky sequenced correctly to whatever the object is that's slowing them down. And then you start metering and sequencing the airplanes back in.
And then metering, what we're talking about there, is about separating the aircraft to a certain point, and they come in so many per hour, right? But then when weather gets bad or have low visibility, you have to stretch that out.
Right. On a good sunny day, unlike today, you're talking about 50 arrivals an hour on a good day. On a day like today, with the fire, haze in the background, we're at about 28 arrivals an hour.
So that's cutting almost in half.
Yep.
So then that piles upon itself, the little domino effect, as you separate those aircraft. But that doesn't necessarily mean every flight out of that airport is going to be delayed 40 minutes or an hour or more, right?
No. That's why you have to check with your airline, because every flight's different. It depends on your destination, depends on your departure time, depends on if you're going international and they want to make sure that you don't wait in a long line, that you have enough time to leave the gate and get to your destination.
Okay, and this is basic too, this is all about safety, right?
All about safety. And there's a safety system. Everything has 3 or 4 or 5 levels of safety and redundancy built in. A lot like the GPS in your car. They have it in an airplane. It's just far more accurate, and it has triple redundancy features in it.
And that's why you have that extra distance and stuff in those points as well too. We want to make sure everybody gets to where they're going and everybody gets there safely.
Yes.
So, excellent. Well, thanks, Mark. Appreciate the update. Again, reminder for those travelers, if you're concerned about your flight, check your very specific flight with your airline or the airport. Go online to check to see whether or not your specific flight has any delays. Those type of delays may or may not affect your flight. Thanks for checking in with us here at SeaTac Airport.
And continuing now with our aviation theme, by the way, Moses Lake was the scene yesterday of a successful test flight of a rare antique aircraft. It happened yesterday afternoon. 1914 Curtiss flying boat restored by Century Aviation of East Wenatchee. Owners Mark Smith and Karen Barrow were commissioned by Key West, Florida businessman Bill Nutt on behalf of the Massachusetts-based Collings Foundation to build that plane from airframe parts that were discovered in the rafters of an outbuilding in New Haven, Connecticut. It took them about 2 years to build that aircraft from their nondescript hangar up at Pangbourne Airport. In fact, they were both a little anxious yesterday prior to the launch.
Really excited and just a little terrified.
Yeah, a bit nervous.
Yeah.
But
we've had a good talks with our pilot. He's got a lot of experience with it. He's comfortable. Our engine mechanics, things like that, they're comfortable. The guys have gone over and over it. I think we're good.
we're ready to go.
You've built a lot of aircraft up there.
Yes, we have.
How does this project rate?
This is probably our favorite. It's been, I don't like the term bucket list, but this has been on our bucket list, this particular aircraft, for 25 years or more. We've known about the project for 30. and finally through Bill Nutt, who's basically paying for the project, we were able to make it possible.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Now, yesterday's maiden flight had a few problems after the first 2 attempts were scuttled due to some mechanical issues, but the third time was the charm. Yesterday afternoon, as that 1,000-pound flying boat rose from the water under the power of its OX-5 V8 engine. So there's a shot of it, and thanks, by the way, to Steve Kamenoff, who was flying in a helicopter above and taking shots of this for Century Aviation, but he got some great shots of it down on the river. Uriah and I also got some great footage of the lead up to that successful launch, and we'll be airing that a little bit later on our afternoon news with
cool.
Grant Olson. But all in all, hey, congratulations to Century Aviation, to Bill Nutt for paying for the project, first of all. He's an interesting guy. We had a chance to talk to him as well, so we'll meet him. And this is the second project, as a matter of fact, that he has financed through Century Aviation. This most recent was a flying boat. Mm-hmm. The one before that was called a Curtiss Pusher, which was the land version of that same aircraft. But yeah, it's really kind of interesting. And I think of all the companies that we have here in the Wenatchee Valley, I think for me, Century Aviation has to be probably the most fascinating, I think.
I'm glad they decided to call this area home.
Oh, I am too. I am too. Very successful. And they have aircraft on display at museums throughout the country and the world, as a matter of fact. I mean, Peter Jackson, the producer of the trilogy series.
Lord of the Rings series,
of movies, yeah. They've done a few aircraft for him as well, and he has them on display at his property in New Zealand. So really kind of interesting.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a good trip to Moses Lake.
It was a good time.
Yeah. 22 minutes after the hour, boy, this show is flying by. We can't let this Wednesday morning go without mentioning your friend of mine, Dick Woods, who passed away. There's
sad.
Dick, passed away last Friday. He was 80 years old. He and Siri, his wife, moved to Raymond, 7-8 years ago, I want to say, to be closest to his family. But he was a Wenatchee native, graduated from Wenatchee High School back in '56, and very well-known local community leader.
Co-worker?
Businessman, co-worker, yeah. He was in the printing business. He also threw his hat in any number of political rings. I always have total respect for people who are willing to run for public office. He was the City of Wenatchee's Public Works Director back in the late 1980s. He was the 1976 Director General of the Washington State Apple Blossom Festival. He was in Allied Arts. He played a huge role in the downtown streetscape project in the late 80s, and the fountain, that beautiful fountain in downtown Wenatchee outside the Stanley Civic Center. Dick played a huge role in that. He had his finger in a lot of pies. He was very well known.
I think you can describe the Woods as a power couple because Siri, of course, 33 years as the clerk of the Chelan County Superior Court.
So, thoughts to Siri and her family, and well done, Dick. You done good.
Yeah, he did good.
You done good. 23 minutes after the hour, Steve mentioned the news with Grant Olson. I'll do it again. The news with Grant Olson. There. You want to be a part of our news team? You can do it. Get a hold of us. Steve, you want to do the honors again?
You betcha. You can contact us on our social media sites on Facebook and Twitter. You can write to us via email. Our address is news@ncwlife.com. Click that little tab at the top of our webpage at ncwlife.com. You can contact us that way, or just give us a call. 888-6295 is the NCW Life Breaking News Hotline.
One of the stranger Mariner games in recent memory. We'll talk about that when we come back for sports. We have the obscure holiday today and history birthdays. Everyone is entitled to Mike Minotti's opinion and my conversation with the hosts of Live It Up, the Ellingsons, all coming up between now and 8 o'clock. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCWLIFE Channel.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCWLIFE Sports.
I'm NCWLIFE News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on Local Tel Channel 12.
You can watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on NCWLIFE.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCWLIFE Channel.
I have a doctor who knows what they're talking about.
It's just so much more hands-on and friendly than anywhere else I've ever been. It's really great to walk into somewhere where you feel welcomed and you feel accepted.
We've just been grateful for the care and respect that we've been given there.
And here when I come to visit my doctor, I'm not afraid to ask questions.
It's not just about getting you in and out.
I love my care at CVCH. It's awesome. Give it a try.
Welcome back. Hazy skies, 61 degrees. Going to deal with some smoke and some haze for the next day and a half, but we do have a fire weather watch that goes into effect tomorrow afternoon. Very windy Thursday afternoon into Friday, but it's going to clear the skies out and cool us down quite a bit. Sports, the Wenatchee Wild training camp began on Monday. You ready for some hockey? They got exhibition games this weekend. Voice of the Wild, Arch Ecker, had a chance to catch up with the head coach of the Wild, Bliss Littler, right after yesterday's practice.
By the nature of when we start, having the kids back here the 20th of August, finishing up the middle of May. It's been a short summer, but it's been a good summer.
So as you get the guys together, I know that when it's the weeks leading up to it, it feels like, holy cow, it's coming so fast. But now all of a sudden the guys are here, you get on the ice, and then it just kind of feels right.
Yeah, well, once the players showed up this morning, we get here, we have a couple meetings, and we talk about how we're going to live together and what we're going to be as a team, and you know, just to set our habits, the habits that we want to have, and that what's acceptable, what's not. Those meetings are great, but it's awful fun when you get back on the ice and start practicing.
The Wild will host the Trail Smoke Eaters, an apropos name, this weekend at the community rink. Tickets are available, just $10, and you can get them through the Wild. Well, despite turning a franchise record 6 double plays, the Mariners fell to Houston last night. The final was 3-2. Strange scenario. Nick Vincent got the start at the very last minute. The original starter was Mike Leake. Mike Leake had the flu, couldn't play. Nick Vincent started instead for the Mariners. In the second inning, Nick Vincent got hit in the ankle by a line drive. He had to go, so Scott Service had no choice but to put in a guy by the name of Ross Detweiler. He's 32 years old. He's a left-hander. He's been around forever. He was in AAA Tacoma. He learned 3 hours before the game he was being called up. He jumped in an Uber, got up to Safeco Field, and he went into the game. He got in the clubhouse, put on a uniform, warmed up a little bit, and boom, you're in, buddy. He wound up going 6 innings. He threw 76 pitches, allowing 3 runs, 8 hits, 2 strikeouts. He induced 5 double plays. What did he say of his experience? Quote, "It was fun," end quote. Manager Scott Service said, hey, give credit where credit is due.
Crazy day, started when we got the call, late this afternoon that Mike Leake was not feeling good at all, and he wasn't going to be able to make the start. So, quickly, pivoted, and fortunate for us, we were able to get Ross Detweiler in here. Tacoma was at home. He came in tonight and did an unbelievable job, great job. But obviously started with Vincent, gave us 2 good innings, and then turn it over to Detweiler and keep us right in the ball game. And that's all you're asking for. I mean, this guy's thinking he's starting at AAA, and he's getting in an Uber and he's driving to Safeco, and there he goes. He's in the game, and he handled it great. Certainly, he's been in the big leagues before and been in that environment. But he threw strikes. Fortunate, we turned some really good double plays behind him, and he kept us right there. With what happened this afternoon, if you had told me that we were in a 3-2 game, late with guys on base and right guys up, we'll take our chances. We just didn't get the big hit tonight. We got the big hit last night and weren't able to get it done tonight.
Ben Gamble had an RBI base hit for the Mariners. Gene Segura and Ryan Healy had multi-hit games. The 6 double plays, by the way, tied an American League record. The 2 teams will go out and get it one more time. It's an afternoon affair, 1:10. Businessman's special. Marco Gonzalez will pitch against Charlie Morton. Les Schwab scoreboard, the American League West last night. Oakland got past Texas 6-0. That keeps the Athletics tied with Houston atop the American League West. The Mariners are now 4.5 games back. And John Jay scored from second base on a throwing error in the bottom of the 9th. Arizona walked off, as it were, against the Angels, 5-4. Oh, let me tell you about the football. Seattle Seahawks continuing training camp in Renton. They got their 3rd preseason game Friday in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Pete Carroll had his traditional meeting with the press after Tuesday's practice. He wanted to take some time out to thank punter John Ryan, whose 10-year career with the Seahawks came to an end on Monday.
John Ryan has been a great Seahawk, and we have loved the time we've spent together. I mean, he's been here since the beginning. And I know everybody would understand that it's a very difficult decision when you have to make one like this after all this time together. And he was doing great. Michael was just kicking out of this world and did the things that we had hoped he could do. And really there's a chance for John, I hope, in the next short while, he'd be hooked up with somebody. There were some teams that were interested, and it was the right time to help John get moving too. So he's been a great player. He's been a great competitor. He's been a great team guy, a great community guy. We love him. And he's always a Seahawk, will always be, and really one of the great ones. So we missed the heck out of him, but something, the time came, we had to go ahead and do it.
Rookie running back Rashad Penny, he's been limited the last couple of weeks. He's got a broken finger. Coach Pete Carroll was asked about what he's able to learn about the Seahawks' top draft pick so far.
He's kind of soft-spoken, easygoing, kind of a little quiet, and so sometimes that doesn't allow you to learn much about a guy. But since we've had him here, to answer your question, he's been incredibly on it. He's a fantastic competitor in that he's applied himself so much to get his pass protection stuff right that he knew he needed to do in terms of scheme as well as the physical side of it. He worked hard on it on the offseason, so when he showed up, he wouldn't be behind. And those are great signals about that he gets it and he knows what's important. And when he's been out here in battling, he's always asking questions. He's always trying to figure it out. He always wants to do things better. He wants more turns. He wants to get more reps. He doesn't want to come out of the game. He's shown nothing but great stuff.
Seahawks Vikings Friday night in beautiful downtown Minneapolis for the third preseason game, and that is sports at 31 minutes after the hour. The obscure holiday of the day today is National Tooth Fairy Day today. Everybody likes to visit from the Tooth Fairy. You just have to pay for it. I mean, who's kidding you? When you're a kid and you lose a tooth, it can be kind of traumatic. So in comes the friendly, happy Tooth Fairy. The tradition is long time. You take your tooth and you put it under the pillow. And when you wake up in the next morning, the tooth is gone and the money is there. I looked this up. I had this on the internet, so you know it's true. What's the going rate for a children's tooth? According to a survey by Visa, the average payout for a tooth is $3. That's up 15% from the previous year. Most of it falls between the $1 to $5 range. By the way, the Tooth Fairy always knows where you are. She's kind of like Santa Claus. Is the Tooth Fairy a woman? I think so. Happy National Tooth Fairy Day today. Let's do Today in History at 32 minutes after the hour. Happy birthday to Cadillac, the Cadillac of automobiles. The Cadillac Motor Company was founded on August 22nd, 1902. One of the great regrets of my life was selling my 1968 Cadillac DeVille convertible. I wish I still had it. Cadillac. 116 years old today. 50 years ago today, they were making the White Album at Abbey Road Studios, and Ringo Starr quit. Ringo Starr walked out of the Beatles during the White Album sessions. Things weren't going well. They were just a fussing and a fighting and a feuding. And Ringo said, I had enough. The happiest, most amiable guy in the whole group walked out on the group for a couple of weeks, took a little vacation. The Beatles recorded back in the USSR without Ringo playing drums. Paul played drums on that song. He eventually came back. While he was on vacation, he wrote Octopus's Garden, but Ringo Starr became an ex-Beatle for a couple of weeks, 50 years ago today. Happy anniversary, 29th anniversary to that very event right there. That's Nolan Ryan striking out Ricky Henderson. He became the first Major League Baseball pitcher with 5,000 strikeouts. 5,000 strikeouts. He passed that on August 22nd, 1989. And speaking of baseball, the box score you see here is not a misprint. First game of a doubleheader in Baltimore. Texas defeats the Orioles, the final 30-3, the most runs scored by a team in modern Major League Baseball history. 30-3 before a partial sellout. And finally, let's do birthdays. Stormin Norman Schwarzkopf, the commander-in-chief, the head of the coalition forces during the Gulf War, born in the state of 1932. There's Stormin Norman, ended up being a four-star general. Passed away a few years ago at the age of 78. Carl Yastrzemski, Baseball Hall of Famer. There's Yaz, Hall of Fame, 1989, won the 1967 Triple Crown. Spent 23 years with the Boston Red Sox. He's a legend. In Boston, he's 79 years old today. Three of my favorite shows of all time, The Rockford Files, Northern Exposure, and The Sopranos, all created and produced by David Chase. He is 73 years old today. Cindy Williams, who played Shirley Feeney on Laverne and Shirley, is 71 years old today. I'm getting old. Ty Burrell plays Phil Dunphy on Modern Family, 51 years old today. And Kristen Wiig, very funny gal, of course, Saturday Night Live, Bridesmaids, The Martian, Ghostbusters, the remake from a couple of years ago. Kristen Wiig is 45 years old today. 35 minutes after the hour, everyone is entitled to Mike Manatti's opinion in my conversation with Dr. Ellingson and her husband Fletcher. We're going to live it up when we come back. Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, live from Studio 1 in downtown Wenatchee on the NCWLIFE Channel.
It's what everybody desires when it comes to ownership of a car. When you purchase and service a car from Apple Valley Honda, we're going to give you a warranty on your new Honda, and it's going to be for life. As a car owner, you pay thousands of dollars to insurance companies to maintain the appearance of your car. At Apple Valley Honda, you'll pay nothing to help you maintain the mechanics of your car. And again, it's for life. At Apple Valley Honda, our customers are valued, and they deserve the peace of mind that comes with the warranty for life. So come visit us. We would love to see you.
Looking for a hands-on, high-demand job? Now is the perfect time to get trained for a career in manufacturing. Washington currently has a shortage of skilled tradespeople, and retirements are making room for more. The machining program at Wenatchee Valley College is designed to give students the foundation to excel in this precision industry. Don't wait, there are only 15 spots left. A 2-year degree and a 1-year certificate are available. Learn more at wvc.edu/machining.
This is the NCWLIFE Community Calendar brought to you by Local Tel. The NCW District Fair takes place this Wednesday the 22nd through Sunday the 26th. It's all happening at the Waterville Fairgrounds. The Wenatchee Wine and Food Festival is this Saturday night at the Town Toyota Center. This wine competition typically draws over 200 entries from North Central Washington wineries. For more information and other community events, visit ncwlife.com.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, did you ever notice that hearing loss is the only physical disability which the person who is suffering from hearing loss is blamed and yelled at because of this disability? Now, think about it. Who shows disrespect to a blind person because they can't see? Who disdains the physical shortcoming of an amputee? Do we blame a person who is paralyzed from the waist down for being in a wheelchair? No, of course not. But just wait. Just wait until somebody's hearing starts to go. And brother, oh, is that different? If you have to say what, come again, or huh, because you don't hear something, people get mad at you. Now, how much sense does that make? So, my hearing's going, and my family's insisting I get hearing aids. Ain't gonna do it. And you know why? Because I've already heard enough. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and that's my opinion.
Hey everyone, Fletcher and Amy Ellingson here from Live It Up. In the investment world, ROI stands for Return on Investment. Well, how does better health, better wealth, and better relationships sound for ROI? Join us every week right here on NCWLIFE and learn how to invest in the most important asset, you.
We're going to answer your questions and provide some weekly inspiration so you can create a life that you love. Join us on Live It Up.
You don't want to see this happen. It's the oil light on your car. Oil is the lube of life for your car's engine. At Alignment Pros and Express Lube, they pour the best oil your car deserves. Expect fast, friendly, superior service in a clean environment. They'll change your oil and perform a 21-point inspection while you enjoy the comfort of their amazing waiting room. Keep your car in top shape at Alignment Pros and Express Lube in East Wenatchee.
You can buy fruit almost anywhere. From first off the tree to first in your hands, Lone Pine offers seasonal fruit from their farm and around the region every day. Make Lone Pine your latte stop with coffee from Blue Star Coffee Roasters and a fresh piece of fruit pie. Take a break with a friend and order a cold microbeer or a glass of Northwest wine. Bring the whole family and enjoy a Lone Pine lunch or a fresh shake in their park-like setting. Lone Pine Fruit and Espresso on Highway 97.
And welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. Always here at the NCWLIFE Channel, we endeavor to put local quality television on a local quality television station. And we continue those endeavors with a brand new program that just made its debut a couple of days ago. The show is called Live It Up. It is a must watch, and you're going to have a lot of chances to watch Live It Up. We'll get to that in just a minute. And here are the hosts of this very program. To my far, far left, please welcome Fletcher Ellingson and his lovely wife, Dr. Amy Ellingson, the hosts of Live It Up. Welcome to the program.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, Dan.
It's good to see you. You're a first-timer, so little something about yourselves. Amy, ladies go first. A little background. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Amy.
All right. Well, I work at the Lakeshore Clinic, and I've been up there for 16 years. I came there straight from medical school. I went to school in Chicago. Well, I went straight from residency, I should say. I went to school in Chicago and then did my training in Billings and in Montana, and then I've been in Chelan for 16 years.
General practitioner?
Yeah, I'm a family doctor.
Okay.
I did obstetrics until a few years ago, but we work at the hospital and work at the clinic and take care of lots of patients.
Something you've always wanted to do? Was that being a physician's seed planted pretty early in your brain?
Yeah, I was pretty set on doing that in high school, and then I just stayed on that path. Yeah.
How did you end up meeting this guy?
We met in Chelan. Yeah,
okay.
He was living there and I was living there. So.
Okay, that's good. Fletcher, a little something about yourself.
Sure. I had a less traditional route. I went to college, dropped out of arts college, did some traveling, went back to college, and actually I was going to go into the seminary. I got my BA in biblical studies, so I was going to go into the seminary. But I had a love of magic, like close-up magic, stage magic, and got an opportunity to pursue that, which I did, and still love that to this day. It's one of my passions. But along the lines, started a number of businesses and got into personal development and really psychology, and that really intrigued me, and so that's what I'm doing now.
And that is basically the genesis of Live It Up as a show. You're more of the physical aspect, and you're more of maybe the metaphysical aspect. I'm spitballing here. Is that about right?
Yeah, the mental, the psychological. Yeah, we help people shift their thinking to get the results that they want in life.
How did the show come to be? How did you end up on the NCWLIFE Channel? Whose idea was this?
Well, it's pretty interesting actually, because it started when we did an interview with you on our Diabetes Smackdown. Amy and I put together a seminar called Diabetes Smackdown, the ultimate solution for people who are dealing with type 2 diabetes. And we did an interview here, and after that interview I thought, I'd like to have a show where we talk about things that are really relative to our lives, but we don't talk very much about them in our lives. And so I contacted you, and after I ran it by Amy, and she said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Called you, and you put me in touch with other people on your team, and here we are today.
So it's me.
Yes.
If the show is fantastic, it's because of me. It's because, in your line of work, do you see a lot of type 2 diabetes? I know there's an epidemic going on. Is that something you're dealing with on a regular basis?
Yeah, definitely it is. And what's interesting when I'm on the show, and people, even my friends talk about this, is that once I get started on a topic, I'm so used to educating people all day. It's just what I do about whatever medical condition it may be. Once you get me started, I just have this, knowledge base that comes out. And so the show for me is an opportunity to get some of that out there. And I'm the type of physician, the way I practice, where I really want to empower the patient to take care of themselves, because we can really only do so much with medicine and so much with what I say in the office visit. And so the more knowledge people have, that's going to be helpful. And then with Fletcher, it's nice synergy where he can help people see what's maybe stopping them from taking care of themselves as well as they should be or could. And then with the knowledge, those two together, we really hope that people can experience their own greatness, their own power, and really have a lot of vitality and wellness is really what my commitment is.
You're a powerful team. I got to tell you that much. When you sit down with somebody, Amy, as a physician, say, you have some warning signs here that I'm concerned about, be it blood pressure or your diet or whatever, and you can arrest this, but just got to start now.
Yeah.
When you leave my office, don't go to a local fast food joint and get a giant Diet Pepsi and a cheeseburger.
Right.
Are they taking to you when you give them some pretty sobering news that they're going down the wrong path?
It's funny because I do that a lot, and sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. But I definitely have had people come back like a year later or 6 months later and say, whoa, you really gave it to me last time. And I'm not necessarily someone who really gives it to someone, so that makes me laugh in and of itself. But they felt scared, and they really heard what I said, and they made massive changes. I've definitely had people reverse their diabetes, come off medication. I love taking people off medication. It's one of my favorite things to do, where people have made enough changes in their lives where they can come off diabetes medication or high blood pressure medication. And there's plenty of people that don't, that they're just kind of coasting in the comfort zone, and that's totally fine. I don't ever get upset with them. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people really do take it to heart, and because what happens with illness is a lot of times you don't feel bad at all until all the complications are now present, and then you can't take it back. And I don't want that for them. Nobody likes coming to the doctor's office all the time, or having procedures, or being in the hospital, or not feeling good, taking thousands of dollars worth of medication. And no, that doesn't make anyone happy. And that's what I end up seeing happening. So I really try to let them know, like, gosh, let's try to do this now, so you're not going to be one of those people.
Are we an over-medicated society as a whole? There's a pill for everything, so take it?
Well, I definitely think that we don't necessarily, I don't feel like most Americans see, I don't know how if they feel like they're in charge of their own health all the time. I do feel like they maybe look to the healthcare industry, look to supplements, look to experts, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but there's so many cultures where they just do it themselves. They will take it upon themselves to have that lifestyle, or look at their traditions. So I do think, I don't know if we're over-medicated, but we definitely look to medicine as maybe an easy way out.
Fletcher, who do you emulate in your line of work? Who do you want to be like, I guess?
Oh gosh, I have so many people who have inspired me over the years. Zig Ziglar is an oldie but a goodie. I mean, I love his stuff. Wayne Dyer, fantastic stuff. I got some of his books, and of course Tony Robbins. I mean, years ago I was down in Sedona, Arizona on a business trip, and I was pretty down and out. I started this business. I was flying to these places, really trying to make it happen. Had a lot of debt in my life, had a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unhappiness. And I remember that night, I'll never forget, I was in this tiny little hotel in Sedona, Arizona, flipping through channels, just like, what am I doing? What am I gonna do with my life? How am I gonna really get things back on track? And I remember seeing Anthony Robbins' infomercial, and there was something he said, and they just got me. And I left my hotel room, got in my rental car, drove to Flagstaff, about 45 minutes away, to a bookstore, picked up a copy of his book, read it from front to back on the plane, and my life has never been the same. And so Anthony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Zig Ziglar, all those guys.
Do people have a hard time understanding what it is that you do? I get it.
Yes.
But
people
have a hard time wrapping their head around how you go about your business.
Yeah. So I mean, in a nutshell, what we do is the show Live It Up is all about creating better health, wealth, relationships, taking your life to that next level, whatever that means to that person. But a lot of people know what they should do in their life. They have a whole list of shoulds. I should do this, I should eat this, I should, all this stuff. But until they make it a must, nothing happens. So we in the television show, we help people discern what they should be doing and how then to implement that into action and get new results. There's a great saying that I love by Einstein, actually. It says, we cannot resolve our current problems with our current level of thinking. We have to have new thinking. And that's in effect what we're trying to get at on the show, is how do you get new thinking? What is it? And it takes a lot of intentionality. And so that's what the people will get when they watch the show.
Do people not understand? I grew up in a Norman Rockwell painting, as close as you possibly could. Do people still don't get the golden rule and just treat human beings with basic human decency and respect? Is that still not getting through to people?
Yeah, I would say yes. I would say, yeah, people have a lot of expectations on how they should be treated, but we've never really understood how life works, how you create your life. A lot of people wonder, like, how did this happen to me? How did I wind up here, right? And so many things happen to get them to that point, they can't go back and reconstruct what actually happened. So it feels like life is happening to them instead of realizing that they're actually creating their every moment. And when you tap into that and realize that there are specific strategies on how to create your life, it's like tapping into freedom.
Does fatalism play a role in all this, or certain parts of your life it's just fated to happen regardless of how you go about living?
That's an interesting conversation.
I know it's deep.
Yeah,
and I mean, I think about it every once in a while. I think about, gee, if my dad hadn't gone bowling one day in Walla Walla in 1945, he wouldn't have met my mom. I wouldn't be here. That kind of, you know.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: we have programs that run every part of our life, and we're not aware of those programs largely. And those programs do affect our actions every single day, and so we wind up at the bowling alley because of some part of our program, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're running on autopilot most of the time. When we can tweak those programs, delete some of those programs, and reprogram our mind with stuff that we want, that will get results that we want, again, it changes the trajectory of your life.
You brought a clip with you. We're going to show this clip in just a couple minutes. I got one more question to ask you because it just popped into my head. Should people keep a journal?
I think that is one of the most wonderful things you can do for a multitude of reasons. One, it gets the stuff out of crazy town, which is up here. It gets it out of crazy town and into the real world, so you can really kind of go through it and understand what you're thinking. You can get that and get some clarity, and you can also start goal setting and look at, hey, am I on track, am I off track? But one of the other great things is that, so I've journaled for years and years. I've got a whole stack of journals over the years. Someday, this is going to be a wonderful gift to my children. Mm-hmm. When I'm not here anymore, they'll be able to go back through these journals and say, whoa, this is what my dad was struggling with. Whoa, here's what were some really cool wins. Here's what he was thinking about. My stepdad just got about 3 decades worth of journals from that were his mother's. Wow. Yeah, she wrote a paragraph every single day, and what a gift to leave to your children.
We have a clip from Live It Up. Preview what folks, we got about 2 minutes we're going to show from the show. What are folks about ready to see? What do we got?
Yeah, this is Amy and I. We are talking about the importance of hydration, which is a common topic in our whole household. So she's got a wealth of information on that, and she's explaining why hydration is so important.
It's pretty much just meant to be for him. The whole purpose of that hydration show.
Here's a clip from Live It Up.
How much water do we need to stay hydrated?
Yeah, I know that you disagree with me on this daily, pretty much. But so just to put it in perspective, about 60% of an adult's weight is in water. So if you weigh 150 pounds, that's 90 pounds of water.
Wow.
90 pounds of water is 11 gallons.
Whoa.
And so you need a lot of water during the day to maintain everything that your body wants to do. And I just want to say one kind of caveat that if you have kidney issues, liver issues, heart issues, then you may need to limit your fluid intake. So please check with your doctor to make sure that this number that I'm going to say would be right for you. But in general, the Institute of Medicine, which is a very conservative recommendation, at a minimum, men should be drinking at least 13 cups of liquid a day. So that's 3 liters or about 100 ounces.
Wow.
That's 3 cups shy of a gallon, and that's a minimum. That's not like just in the summer or if you're working out. That's really just what your body needs. That would be what would make your body happy, would be optimal.
So
and then
just shy of a gallon of water.
For men, it'd be just 3 cups shy of a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that would be 100 ounces, 3 liters, 13 cups. So you can measure that out and know if you're getting enough. And for a woman, that would be about 9 cups, 72 ounces, or 2.2 liters. And that's, again, the minimum. And you may feel better a little bit more. Maybe you feel a little better with a little bit less, but that's really the recommendation.
Do you have regular segments on your show? Like every week, you always have something, what we call in this business a benchmark, or is every show a little bit different
I mean, so far every show's a little bit different. There's some where Fletcher is going to be doing some interviews on people who, it's called Being a Blessing, people who are a blessing in our area. And then I'm going to be there on most shows, not all of them. This show is it's not as easy for me to generate working full time, so I won't always be on there. But trying to really give people information about their health so they can be empowered. And then like I said earlier, having them work with Fletcher so people can get into action, maybe break through those areas that are stopping them so they can feel as good as they really could.
We're almost out of time. I'll start with you, Fletcher, and then we'll wrap it up with Aiden. What do you want people who watch this show to get away from? What do you want people to take from this show?
What I want people to understand is that you can create a life that is absolutely fulfilling. There are specific ways to live and to think that will get you the results you want. And we also take questions. You can email them to me at fletcher@fletcherellingson.com, and we will address those questions on or off the air. So anything's possible, Dan. Anything you want is possible.
Same question for you, Amy.
Yeah, what I'd like to say every show is that I really want everyone to know that wellness is available to you. It's available to everybody, and that is my commitment to help people really create wellness in their lives, and whatever that means for them. But I want them to feel vitality and wellness for the rest of their lives.
Good stuff. Live it up. Mondays at 8 and 3, Wednesdays at 9, Thursdays at, just look it up. it's on a lot. Go to our website at NCWLIFE.com, and you can also watch, I believe, some shows on demand as they air on television. Then we move them over to our website, and you can check it out.
Cool.
So how many shows we got in the can so far?
We're filming number 8 today.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Welcome to the world of television.
Thank you.
It's not as hard as it looks, is it?
It's fun.
Secrets between us two, all right? You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
When it comes to finding a memory care community, you want the very best. You want to know that your loved one is safe and receiving compassionate care in a loving environment. Fieldstone Memory Care is an innovative assisted living community designed for those with Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's disease. You'll find a community specifically designed to enrich residents' lives. The Fieldstone team is here to help you navigate the important decisions you face when a loved one has dementia or Alzheimer's. Welcome home to Fieldstone.
Hey there, Wenatchee. I'm Sean Lee, and I'm inviting you to check out the NCW Movie Guide to keep up on what movies are playing in our town.
Do you have a fun or interesting video you'd like to see featured here on the NCWLIFE channel? It's easy. All you have to do is send us an email at newsphotos@ncwlife.com.
Hey everyone, so today I'm tackling Medical Assistant Ninja, trying to get that next level career. Man, this dead-end job is holding me back. Decision time, I'm going Charter College. Now I'm a medical assistant student. Rocking it? Yeah, earned the President's Award. Score! Took my career to the next level. Hey, I can level up to Medical Assistant Ninja, so can you. Get on it.
The NCWLIFE Channel is your home for local news, local weather, and events including live local high school sports. Watch inspiring local shows featuring local people. Don't miss Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Let's learn. Guada TV. Street Talk and Other Stuff. The 12th District. Life with Lisa. And the Arbiter of Stoke. NCWLIFE Channel is your local TV station.
And welcome back to this Wednesday. Dan Kuntz with you. Going to wrap up this program with one more look at your all-important weather forecast. Another day and a half of pretty smoky, pretty hazy conditions. 92 our forecast high today. Probably not going to get there. As you can see on Thursday, we cool down a little bit. Here's the big story right now. We have a fire weather watch issued by the National Weather Service. It begins tomorrow afternoon, goes to tomorrow evening. It's going to get windy. Thursday afternoon, not much. West wind 8 to 15 miles an hour, but Thursday night, a northwest wind for the Wenatchee Valley, 11 to 18 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 30 miles an hour. The good news there, it's going to scour out our skies, clean out our air. We should have quite a bit of sunshine and clean air Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but cooler temperatures. But obviously, with winds and gusts up near 30 miles an hour, the Cougar Creek fire, the fire that we're really keeping an eye on and have been for the last 3.5 weeks, that could get fairly active again. But it looks like we're going to be through with this dirty, stinky air once we get to Friday. Amen to that. Everybody, have yourself a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.